Welcome to episode 45 of America in Crisis, Breaking the Cycle of Addiction. My name is David Hunt, and I am your host. Please hit your DVRs to record. This show could save your child's life. Today's guest is Matthew Pawlenty. Matthew is a firefighter with the Revere Fire Department and a longtime resident of Saugus. He is in long-term recovery and serves as a recovery advocate with Power of Recovery, guiding individuals and families through substance use and mental health challenges. Matthew is also a founding board member of Namaste Sober, a nonprofit that supports people in early recovery through community and wellness programs. His dedication to service extends from public safety to helping others rebuild their lives. I met Matthew at Woburn Substance Community Meeting and knew with his experience he has a lot to share that can help our viewers. Matthew, welcome to my show.
Thank you, David. Thank you for having me.
Let's start by getting to know you a little bit. You're currently a Revere firefighter and an EMT.
That's correct, yep.
And how long have you been on the department?
I've been on the department, I'm coming up on my 6th year. I got on late in life. 42 years old, I started that job.
And I understand you're a member of the Marine Corps?
That's right, yep. Straight out of high school, I joined the Marines.
Well, and how long have you served, roughly?
6 years.
And I also understand you're on a few boards in Saugus. Can you tell our viewers what those boards are?
Absolutely. I am a elected town meeting member for the town of Saugus. I'm also on the Saugus Prevention Coalition. I'm on other boards that aren't involved with Saugus. I'm one of the founding board members for Namaste Sober. And I'm also on other boards like a credit union board of directors. I'm sure I'm on some other boards too.
So life has been pretty good, but it always wasn't. Can you share what you call those dark times?
Yeah, absolutely. There was a long time that drugs and alcohol took over my life. I started off very young, and it progressed. And looking back, I can see the progression. And basically, it started off with drugs, weed and alcohol, and it progressed to me being locked in my room, shades drawn, not leaving my room for days, to the sound of, "Dad, you coming out of your room today? Dad, I'm hungry. 10 minutes, sweetheart, 10 minutes. Dad, has it been 10 minutes yet?" So that's where it basically took me.
So use the word starting out, so I'm sure you went into some heavier drugs later in life?
Yeah. OxyContin was really the one that took me out in the early 2000s.
And how old were you when you started this? Do you remember?
Yeah, sure. I was about 13 years old.
So how did you overcome your dependency and turn things around?
Well, not alone, that's for sure. To be honest with you, there was a moment I had a overdose, first that I ever had, and I had a moment of clarity during this overdose where there was no more thoughts other than I don't want to die and I don't want to do this no more.
Okay. The term overdose is so general, we throw it around like it's nothing.
Sure.
Could you please describe what it's like to go through an overdose? We just throw it around and nobody knows what we mean.
Well, I can only describe my overdose. My overdose isn't like a lot of the overdoses that I deal with on calls as a firefighter. My particular overdose that I had was, I was paralyzed to the floor. I couldn't even crawl to the bathroom. I was vomiting in and out of consciousness. I was alone. And that's sort of when I had that moment where it was very clear to me that I didn't want to die. And here's this is how powerful the disease of addiction can be. When I came to the next day, I decided to only sniff the drugs rather than shoot them. And I had the same type of experience, physical experience, and that's when I said, okay, this is it. And that's where I began my process.
So that's when you discovered Power of Recovery.
Well, Power of Recovery is something that came much later in life for me. I actually, the founder of Power of Recovery is a good friend of mine, and the way I met him was we both got sober back in early 2009, and I was asked to give him a ride from detox to a program down in Weymouth.
Okay.
And that was asked of by my sponsor at the time. So I was only a couple months sober. And Maddie, who is the CEO of Power of Recovery, needed a ride. And I always like to tell the story of when I met him.
Sure, go ahead,
Yeah.
please.
So I picked him up from detox. Never met him in my life. He got in my car with a trash bag. And he, the whole ride from Danvers to Weymouth, he was talking about a place called Tent City, which I never heard of, but it was a homeless encampment up in Lowell. And the big attraction for him was there was running water and electricity.
Okay.
So if that hadn't, if being sober wasn't going to work for him, that was his plan. He was going to move up to Tent City. So that's how I met Maddie from Power of Recovery, and that was 16 years ago. What really, my foundation is based in AA and NA. That is really my foundation of where I'm at today. Had I not had that foundation, I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
And can you share with our guests where is Power of Recovery located?
Yeah, sure. Power of Recovery is located in Revere, Massachusetts, right on Broadway, 385 Broadway. There's actually a really great story behind Power of Recovery and how it started. Is that okay I tell it?
We're here, we have time. If
I
it
love
helps
it.
my viewers,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, I think it's an important piece because it's important to understand where we started from. There was a gentleman, his name was Chelsea Bob,
Okay.
and he was a 6'5" giant iron worker. When you hugged him, he made you hug on the other side because he said heart to heart,
Yeah.
heart to heart. And he was the guy that when you came into the halls of NA, he really loved you where you were at. He had that unconditional love, and he was willing to help anybody. And when he hugged you, it hurt because he was so big. But there was a lot of love, and he was a huge inspiration to myself and Maddie. And Maddie actually grew up in Chelsea, down the street from Chelsea Bob, so he knew him a lot longer. And Chelsea Bob had passed away from a liver transplant.
Oh, sorry.
And he was clean for almost 30 years. And Maddie and his brothers wanted to do something in honor of him. So they bought a house, they fixed it up, turned it into a sober house, put a plaque up and called it Chelsea's House.
Okay.
And that's where this all started. Chelsea's House Sober Living is the foundation of Power of Recovery. They saw a need for another house and another house and another house over the years, and then eventually saw a need to open up Power of Recovery, which is a PHP IOP,
Okay.
which is all outpatient treatment. But that's the foundation of this company, and it says a lot about who started it and the reason why, and it still holds true to this day. It's really out there in honor of Chelsea Bob and to help other people. We've been there before.
Before my next question,
Go ahead.
I know the answer. Can you explain to our viewers in your words what's a PHP-IOP, just so they know what we're talking about?
Yeah, sure,
I'm like
absolutely.
doctors throwing terms around. I'm like, what?
No, absolutely. And I was gonna say it, but I'm letting you lead the.
I'm not having
steer the
doctors
boat here.
watch my show, even though I wish they do.
So PHP is partial hospitalization program, and IOP is intensive outpatient program. They're both outpatient programs. One is 5 days a week, 5 groups. The other one is about 3 days a week, 3 groups a day.
Now, what do you actually do with Power Recovery? What's your role there?
So my role is recovery advocate, and I took that title because I truly believe in my heart that anybody can have sobriety if they want. Anybody can be in recovery. So recovery advocate. So what I do is I help people get into treatment. Pretty simple, right? It's not always at Power of Recovery. A lot of the times I'm getting calls for people to go into detox,
Okay.
inpatient facilities for mental health or substance use. Sometimes they're looking for a therapist. I'm able to help with referrals to therapists. Sober living as well. Like I said, we own and operate Chelsea's House, and then of course the outpatient program at our facility. And sometimes that's not a good fit for people. Sometimes they live on Haverhill and they don't want to do virtual and they can't get to Revere. We work with a lot of other companies in the state and other states where I'm able to help people find their way to. So basically, as a recovery advocate, as my role at Power Recovery, I help people get into treatment. That's exactly what I do.
Now, I see you have several programs to offer. What is your day-to-day treatment program?
So our day-to-day treatment program would be the PHP or IOP.
And what does that actually do?
So it's an outpatient. So typically what happens is people would go to detox, or they would go to maybe some sort of inpatient program after that, and then outpatient. Sometimes they never go to detox and inpatient. They just want to come to outpatient. So the day-to-day basically is dependent on PHP, IOP will determine how many days and how many groups you go to. Mm-hmm. But typically you're in groups, and it's, you're learning life skills and how to stay sober, on life's terms, right? And there's a lot of different groups. There's a lot of different topics in these groups. Like how trauma could be playing a part in this. CBT stuff. There's all sorts of different groups, and we have two separate tracks. One is for substance use, and the other one is for mental health. Okay. So and the mental health is same thing with the groups, just different topics, right? More like life coping skills and stuff like that. With our PHP, you would be given lunch. Because it's a little bit longer of a day. It runs from 9 to 9 to 3 o'clock. And then the IOP is from 9 to 12 or from 5 to 8 p.m. And everybody who's in our programs, they'll be given case management. They're offered a clinician for one-on-one therapy, as well as a recovery coach, just as an extra layer of support.
Now, we've got so many programs. I'm going to ask you these one at a time, so we can concentrate and answer which program. You have a program called Intensive Outpatient Program. What is that?
So it's groups. So you would come into the facility, and it's groups. They're ran by clinicians, trained professionals. The IOP is 3 groups a day. So you would come in from 9 to 12, and so you'd sit in 3 separate groups. There's a break in between, and then also, like I had mentioned, you would be offered a clinician to have one-on-one therapy. We also provide a recovery coach. We have a doctor for med management.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yep. So if you need a medication, we do have a doctor, and case management to help. Sometimes people need help with getting their license, and they need help with trying to find some housing.
Wow.
Case management can help with that.
Now, also, I understand you offer mental health services. What does that entail?
So it's very similar to the substance use IOP. It's groups. So you'd be in groups, also one-on-one therapy, and just, the groups are providing you not only support, but also a lot of information on how to sort of what you're dealing with and how to deal with it. And it's beneficial too, because you're not alone in these groups. So there are people that are dealing with the same thing. And for me, that was always a big part, was being surrounded by people who were also going through what I was going through, because for a long time I felt alone. I felt like I was the only one that was feeling these types of things. And so when I got into a room with people in it that felt the same way, that identification was life-saving for me.
Now, I understand, rather than the individual, we have something called family services. I really haven't heard that many times mentioned with other guests. What do you offer for family services, and what is it?
So on Monday nights at 6 p.m., we offer a free family group session to anybody, so it's open to the public. It's either in person or on Zoom. Okay. And so that's open to everybody, and it's ran by a clinician. So, and that's strictly based on family support. Okay. And then also, our clinicians, when our clients are working with the clinicians, they also offer family group sessions. So we have the family group night on Monday nights, where it's open to the public, so you don't have to be part of our programming to join. And then we also offer it through our clinicians for the family group sessions with your clinician.
Now, I understand you do what's called drug and alcohol assessment. Can you share with our viewers what that actually is?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. The drug and alcohol assessments could really be for anything. It could be for someone's employer. It could be for the courts. Could be for the DMV. So those 3 sort of the big ones: the DMV, would require it to identify people who are at risk of reoffending. Sometimes they need to fulfill one of those to get their licenses back. An employer might want to sort of gauge where somebody's at or require it really to see if treatment was necessary. And then also the courts. We work with a lot of the court systems, and they'll ask to have somebody assessed to understand where they are in their own process with drugs and alcohol or mental health.
Now, after carefully examining your company, before I brought you on here, I understand you do a lot of other programs. Could you explain to my viewers what SAP or SAP is?
Sure. The SAP program is, so it's not really a program. We have the provider. So anybody with a DOT license, if they were to pop positive on a urine, the guidelines, the federal guidelines they are required to see a specific provider to get assessed. And we have that provider. They have the title SAP.
Okay.
So it's really just a specific provider that's been vetted by the government to provide these assessments, and then also to sort of create a treatment plan for that person.
And after careful consideration, before I invited Matt on, I looked into the programs. Before I bring my guests on, I like to know about the company a little bit, the background, and everything they could possibly offer. That way I know what can bring forward to my guests. And I also understand, obviously you do an employee assistance program. I've never heard of that before. What does that work? How does it work? What does it do? What is it? And how do they get involved in it? But that just sounds great.
Yeah, sure. So we have several companies and in fact cities and towns that will take us on as an employee assistance provider. So a lot of businesses, cities and towns, including the one I work for, including the one here in the city, they have employee assistance programs. So what those are is they offer a lot of different services for their employees. Typically, sometimes it's there's a phone number if you needed some assistance. A lot of times they will have a nationwide company sort of answering the phones and then sort of directing you to treatment. So in this case, so actually the city of Woburn, we're one of their EAP providers.
Okay.
So what that means is the city wanted to provide more resources for their employees. So just this morning, as a matter of fact, I went and spoke to our DPW here in this town. And I basically go there and share the services we provide and how I might be able to help. I usually share a little bit about myself just so they can identify. So it all really depends on what the company or the city or town are looking for. Sometimes we're just their resource, so when they have somebody that's struggling, they will have them call us. And then other times, people like the idea of me with some experience going to talk to people directly and then being the resource for them so they can call me directly and be able to kind of help answer questions or guide them into treatment if that's what they're looking for. For family members, for themselves, for a neighbor, really for anybody that needs treatment.
Now let's just say I have so many DUIs I can't drive. I'm not allowed behind the wheel. Or when I am allowed behind the wheel, for the love of God, I do not want to go over the Tobin Bridge during traffic. Can I do any of this by phone?
Yes, you can. We do offer our programming as virtual. So whether it's the PHP or the IOP, we do offer that virtually.
Okay.
We also have an outpatient program where you would have to attend one group a week, and then you would have a one-on-one session with a clinician. So it's basically 2 hours a week. That can also be done virtually.
It's very convenient for people.
Yes, some people are, it's necessary, work schedules or handicaps or whatever it may be. Sure.
Now, obviously, no one can afford to do this for free.
Correct.
There is a fee. How does somebody pay for these services? What do you accept?
Insurance. So we take any insurance. We are also in network with all of Mass Health,
Okay.
which is big because in our
Yes.
business, not a lot of businesses are really in with Mass Health.
Correct.
And so, that was really important to Maddie when he first opened up the doors. He got right to work with getting these Mass Health contracts to make sure that we're able to provide services for all the population that needs it.
Now, at the beginning of our show, you mentioned that you're with Namaste Sober. What is that?
So Namaste Sober, it's such a great play on words. A very good friend of mine, Nico, she had this idea back in 2016. She had lost a very close friend of hers to an overdose and had this great idea where she wanted to connect people with yoga and physical fitness facilities to help them recover, right? And it wasn't a substitution, it wasn't in place of anything. It was sort of an addition, as a complement to anything that anybody else was already doing. So someone like myself at that time, being an NA and AA, we weren't trying to remove that, we were just sort of adding something. We have sober social events. In fact, there's a huge one today in Boston City Hall Plaza, where we have a big Sober Fest. We're calling it Sober Fest. It's a big fitness festival. So we offer all free classes. It's free to the public, free for anybody. You can show up. There's going to be fitness classes going on. There's going to be yoga classes going on. There's going to be tons of resources and refreshments, and just a really big community. So Namaste Sober, what we do is we provide yoga and fitness memberships to people in early recovery.
So today being September 17th, obviously, this isn't airing live.
It's not. Oh, you guys missed it.
But is that going to be every year?
Yes, we do it every year. We have a few really big events that we do every year, and this is one of them. You can follow us.
Please, go ahead.
On namastesober.org. And it's like a play on words, like Namaste Sober.
I like that.
.org. Yeah, yeah.
Now, you mentioned Chelsea's House, which is a great organization. I want to give a little more credit than what you just touched upon. Can you give me like a couple-minute description of Chelsea's House and give it the credit it deserves? And what services it actually provides?
Sure, absolutely, yeah. Chelsea's House is sober living. We were the first MASH certified in the state. So MASH oversees the sober homes in the state. We were the first one certified by them. And Maddie, the owner, CEO, is actually now on the board of directors for MASH because they want homes in this state, sober homes, to mirror how he runs his homes. So it's a very structured environment. Let me take the very part out. It's structured. We have house managers, and people are required to attend meetings, outside meetings, there's house meetings, there are urines. We help people find work. We provide recovery coaches in our sober living. And we've been around for over 14 years. We have 14 homes in the areas of Chelsea, Lynn, East Boston, and Malden. And we're continuing to, expand out and be able to provide housing in more cities and towns.
I'm glad you were able to explain that there's more facilities out there they can get help at.
Sure.
They don't have to just wait for one or two. Now, let's go back to you a little bit. You've heard this. My show caters obviously to some kids and people just starting out in life. Do you have kids of your own?
I do. She's actually 27 years old, if you can believe
That's
that.
not a kid.
No, she's an adult. Yes.
What did you do growing up when she was growing up to get rid of the temptations of her getting involved in the first place? Since you've been through it, what techniques would you use and tell other people to how to help keep your own kids off drugs since you've gone through it?
Yeah, well, when I got sober, she was turning 10 years old, so I'm extremely grateful that, for the most part, she doesn't really remember a lot of my dark times. First and foremost, I led by example. Conversations, really being open and not afraid to have the conversations with your children are really, really important. And paying attention, really paying attention and picking up on the signs that there's something going on. And again, being able to talk about it. That's really, really the most important, because, when you're not talking about it, it's
exactly.
The kids are kind of left to their own, ideas about it. And it's important to get ahead of it, talk about it, and not have them be afraid to talk about it.
get their education from the street,
100%. Yeah,
on
exactly.
the music videos.
No, you
That
definitely don't want them
glorify
learning
using
from
this
that.
stuff.
Yeah, you don't want them learning from that. And there's a lot of that going on out there. you
Oh, yeah,
know?
exactly.
So it's important that parents are open and honest with their kids about it, and don't be afraid to admit that you know when you were a child that you tried stuff. I mean, obviously age appropriate. You want to make sure your kid's at the right age and understands, but authentic, like being authentic and open with your children are really. I mean, it's what worked for me. You know, me and my daughter, we have an amazing relationship. Her mom was also in sobriety. Unfortunately, was killed by a drunk driver.
I'm very sorry.
Yeah,
I know that.
9 years sobriety. Was killed by a drunk driver about 4 years ago. And we actually just did a huge benefit for her as well. But yeah, talk to your children. Don't be afraid.
So it's not just when you use a substance your own self, it's what you can do to someone that's innocent you're driving down the road.
100%, yeah.
That's just horrible. I hate that.
It is, yeah. Where's the irony in that, right?
Yeah.
You know, 9 years sober, did nothing but help people stay sober, and beautiful sunny day in August.
It's always the other one that survives, too.
Yeah.
Sorry, things like that get to me. I'm a human being. Things get to me. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Yeah, no, it gets to me too, believe me.
A couple of weeks ago, I've known you through the meetings, but I also saw you as an exhibitor at Vigil on the Common, which was set up by, obviously, Carmen Marie Lucchese. In fact, there's a picture of your group.
Yep, there's Maddie. He's actually the
That me?
CEO. Yep, he's
And
not
that
as
other
handsome as
young
me.
lady is?
And that's Lauren. She's awesome. She's one of the, she manages all the case managers there, and she wears a lot of hats over
I
there.
think goodies. How did I miss those? I didn't get any.
I brought you some. Don't worry. I got some stuff for you.
You didn't give me a cake like Nora did. I don't see a cake on the table.
I know. She's something special. She's,
No cake, you're never coming
way
back.
more thoughtful than I am. I did bring you some mugs, though.
On a serious note, why is it so important you come to a vigil, especially Woburn Vigil on the Common? You're out of Revere. Why did you pick Woburn, and what was so important that you needed to be there?
Well, I think, one of the big reasons that we come to events like this is to provide a resource, right? But we, being in recovery, it's important that we're out there and helping sort of remove the stigma around it, right? Be an advocate for people in recovery, to be able to talk to people and share our experience with, and to let people know they're not alone, and that there are resources out there to help people. It's really important. It's really, really important, especially for a vigil, an overdose vigil. Like, these are, members of the community that have lost somebody to overdose, which is an extremely, difficult way to lose somebody.
I'm going to stop the questions for a couple of quick seconds to talk to my viewers. Before we go any further, Vigil on the Common was set up as a 10th anniversary by Carmen Marie Lucchese. They lost their son, Justin. After losing their son to an overdose, they decided to do something about it. They were a guest on my show in the past. They set up a foundation called Justin's Voice. They will not let his memory fade. They are out there with a mission to try to prevent every other parent from going through what they went through. They set up a vigil. They have exhibitors come. This year was quite large. I mean, I know Mackenzie Disick from the city had a lot of different exhibitors come in that Carmen didn't have access to before, after setting up the community service group that gave access to more exhibitors like Matt to really make it something special this year. I came in, I was exhibitor before, I came in again this year, and I brought some stuff I'll talk about later. But the bottom line is, parents do not want to let their son's memory and die in vain. So I've got to give kudos to the Lucchese's. The only thing that upsets me at this event is they read a list of those that we've lost. And what ticks me off, I could say tick without getting cut, what ticks me off is the list is getting longer and longer every year. People are out there doing their best to try to stop that list from getting longer. What is the list? It's someone in our community that has died of an overdose. And besides the best efforts of people like the Lucchese's, all the other organizations that have been on my show, houses like Matt, and everything my guests have done, people are still dying from this horrible disease. Regardless what I do, who I bring on the show, that list is not going to get shorter. So we're all in this together, trying to work for the same common cause. Now, like I said, I also set up a display. There's a picture of me. And what I was doing is I was passing out not just literature, but test strips provided by District Attorney Marion Ryan. I'm a member of her opioid task force, along with the Mass Department of Public Health. What the strips do is you test your heroin. That doesn't mean it's going to make your heroin safe. What it's going to tell you is if it's been impregnated with xylazine, which is an animal tranquilizer, and the word overdose is really a fallacy. You can't overdose on something you were never supposed to have a dose of. It's made for animals, not people. Unfortunately, it has a horrible effect. It stops you from breathing. Narcan doesn't work on it, and you have the world's most horrendous sores anywhere but the injection site. And this crap is being put in with your different drugs with the heroin. The other thing is you have fentanyl, which we all know and love what that does to you. At least this tells you there is fentanyl inside your drug. At least Narcan will work a little bit, to a point. But when you stop breathing, that little bottle of Narcan is only going to do so much. Narcan is made to reverse the effects of opioids. And fentanyl is not an opioid, it's an additive. It's not supposed to be in there in the first place. So it'll help you a little bit, but it's not going to bring you back as if you just have opioids. If you have pure heroin, no additives, Narcan is awesome. Within a few minutes, they'll come to and start breathing. But this stuff that's on the street, it's not pure opium anymore. It's not pure heroin. It's add-ons. And some of these add-ons never ever should have been in the human body. So I was giving out test strips to say, hey, this stuff can kill you. Not that heroin on its own is safe, but at least you know you don't have a deadly toxin in it. So thanks to the state and thanks to DA Ryan, I was able to give out almost 500 test strips to our viewers. I was also at the first annual fun run they had at Horn Pond, giving out the same. I gave out almost 2,000 test strips at the event. That's something Mackenzie Diesick put on for her first year working with the city. So there are about 10 exhibitors that were giving out very useful information. This happens every year on Substance Awareness Week, or actually it's Overdose Week. It's always the last week of August, and the event for Justin's Voice, which is Vigil on the Commons, always the last Thursday of August in Woburn Commons. So I invite people, put it on your calendar to be there for next year. And look up justinsvoice.org. He's got plenty of other events coming up that they raise money for the programs he puts on. So, now that I've stole the spotlight, which I didn't mean to, but I wanted to explain to the viewers what these events are and why they're so important. Matt, I'm going to give you the mic. Don't worry, we can cut you off and edit you if I don't like what you're saying. Open mic, I probably will. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our viewers I haven't brought up? And we got that hand on that buzzer.
Just that you're not alone. If you're struggling out there, if you know someone struggling out there, you're not alone. And you can call us. Call somebody. You don't have to deal with it alone. And you know, I just really acknowledge you for your effort, man, what you're doing out there with the test strips and your show and inviting people on here and the why behind it. You know, I really respect that. So thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on. You know,
You're doing the hard work.
You know, people may think that, I got to be honest, it's easy for me because somebody did it for me. And it's very natural for me to want to do this and be able to help people. It's very natural. It's, you know, all my jobs really, between the fire department, this job, you know, what I do in the community, it's just a very natural thing. It's not hard for me. It can be difficult when people don't take the help you want. And by the way, I do want to mention one thing. That overdose vigil in Woburn, you mentioned all the names.
Yes, please go ahead.
Over 400 names.
Yes.
They read over 400 names. That means
Correct.
400 community members here in Woburn passed away from an overdose.
And it's getting bigger.
And it's getting bigger. And I knew several of those names. In fact, one of them was a sponsor of mine at one time.
Wow.
Yeah. Really incredible human being. So these aren't just, you know, people who are addicted to drugs. These are, you know, people who help people. These are sons, daughters, fathers, mothers, grandparents, uncles, your neighbor, cousins, they're everybody, you know. It doesn't matter. This, you know, alcoholism and addiction does not discriminate.
Oh, yeah.
It's absolutely everywhere. And, everybody knows somebody that struggles with either mental health or substance use, and it's kind of crazy how there's still the stigma out there, and that's what we're out to, try to help break.
Well, that's the problem with heroin and drugs. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care if you're white, you're black, you're blue, the color of a Smurf. Why am I bringing that up? Because if you overdose, guess what? You're going to be the color of a Smurf if someone doesn't get to you.
Yeah, and you mentioned it too. Like the thing is there's no heroin out there anymore. Everything is laced. Cocaine. I even had a 22-year-old kid overdose that we brought back, and all he did was smoke a joint.
Yeah,
Turned out the joint was laced with fentanyl. So it's really a scary time out there because you just don't know what you're getting. So it's, you could just be going to a party and maybe take a couple hits of a joint, and next thing you know, you're, being brought back by EMTs. So it's just be safe out there.
Like I say, before I get sued for using somebody's trademark, drugs on the street do not, I repeat, not have the good housekeeping seal of approval.
Yes.
Someday they're going to tell me I can't use that. But until that day comes, seriously, all joking aside, there's nothing to joke about. Nothing has tested your drugs for you. Drugs are not safe. People say, what is my goal? Why do I do this? I have a hard job doing this, write this show. My goal is to bring people like Matt and to show you what help is available. That's all I do. I show you what is available. I have our guests explain to you so you can make an educated decision what help you want. But help is out there. I've now had 45 shows. Out of 45 shows, that's 45 different places you can go with multiple locations. If you really want to get help, there are plenty of people willing to help you and hundreds that have never been on my show. So all you need to do is ask. If you're having trouble, these people are experienced. If you're in school, you've got a SET officer that can help you. Soon I hope to be on my show. I had Ed Fumicello, our past one, on with Woburn High School in a couple of episodes ago. We have a new officer. People, this is someone you can trust. If you're a student, you don't want to go to mom and dad, help is out there. Please seek it out. Everything you do is held in confidence. They can't go yelling to your mother, hey, your kid was just down here, he's trying marijuana. Everything is held in confidence. So please, if you want to get off the drugs, help is out there. Don't tell me I don't know where to go. I got 45 shows that'll show you where to go.
I do have one more thing too.
Yeah, please go right ahead.
But we're about to open up a adolescent mental health facility. PHP, IOP, again, partial hospitalization program, intensive outpatient program. It's all outpatient. It's going to be in Danvers, Mass. And it's for adolescents from the age 12 up to 18 years old. And it's going to be very similar to what we offer in Revere, but this is going to be adolescent focused, groups for adolescents. There's going to be a lot of family support coming through there. So that's also, it's called Power of Hope. Okay. And we should be opening the doors in about 2 weeks.
Here's what I'm going to do with you. And when I make a commitment, I make a commitment. I'm going to say it right now live on TV. When it's opened up, it's not going to be you again. Can't recycle guests.
No,
sorry.
Absolutely not.
Unless you bring me a cake, then I'll consider it.
I have somebody that will bring you a cake.
I'm just kidding. You will have somebody from your facility once you get up and running.
Yep.
Because that's something, especially the mental illness, I'm trying to focus more into that area. Mm-hmm. I would love to have that facility on the show to show people that help is out there. I've had NAMI on there. I've had a couple of other places go into the mental illness area, and I always say the drugs and the mental illness go hand in hand. Absolutely. Because people are trying to self-medicate rather than go to the professionals. And now you've got a double whammy. So I will make it right on, I'll say it right now. You get up and running, you contact me, I will sit down with you. I will personally write a show for that guest.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that's great. Stephanie would be the one that comes here, and she loves to bring cookies and cakes and stuff like that. So you're in luck. Mm-hmm. But absolutely, and you couldn't have. One of the biggest things that I see today are, especially in the kids. I'll keep it on the kids, but it goes for adults too. Self-medication, right? These kids are dealing with stuff that they're not talking to people about, and one way to deal with it is self-medicating. And then that turns into a whole nother issue. It's the same thing with adults. They do go hand in hand. So thank you for saying that.
Okay, we get a wide angle on this, guys. This will show up on your screen. Don't try to read this thing. Matthew,
Oh,
thank you for appearing today.
oh, thank you so
Go in
much.
your office.
Yeah, this is gonna get hung right up. Thank you.
Stephanie brings me a cake. She'll get a bigger one than you will do the 8 beer and 10 by 12.
She'll deserve it for sure. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Now, I know they're throwing things in the control booth to wrap it up. I'd like to thank our guest, Matthew Parlenti, for appearing today. As always, thank you for watching. Please share this program with your social media friends. If you or someone you know is suffering from a substance abuse disorder, contact the Massachusetts Substance Use Helpline, and their number is 800-327-5050. If you are thinking about suicide or hurting yourself, you can speak to a specialist at a brand new number that's 988, not 911, 988. If you are having a mental illness issue, you can contact NAMI, Central Middlesex, a former guest on my show, 781-982-3318. This show can be seen on a rotating basis at Woburn Public Media stations and on demand on their website and on YouTube. As always, thank you to the staff of Woburn Public Media Center for making this possible. Please enjoy our closing theme, Rise Above the Noise by Fireheart, who is also one of my past due guests. Through the credits for all the important information, so please watch all the way through the credits. It's going to show you contact information for past guests and shows you may want to see that interest you. For America in Crisis, Breaking the Cycle of Addiction, my name is David Hunt. We are back and we will have more exciting shows shortly.
Is what we bear. The whispers that I hear behind my back are those who never lost a child, a friend, and so they lack a sense of loss, a peace that's gone with no return. Above the noise is how we cope, above the noise is how we learn. The most important things in life I found comes deep within the heart, the purest sound of those who won the fight. Now they found a life that's true, a life so rich above the ground. We are people who care. Listen to the sound. Rise above the noise in the air. The sound not heard is what we bear. We are people who care. Listen to the sound. Rise above the noise in the air. The sound not heard is what we bear. The sound not heard